Folks, it seems like Donald Trump is creating a mini civil war within the Republican Party. Some people defending him and some people defending DeSantis because Donald Trump can't stop bashing Ron DeSantis for some reason. He recently told the press, "I would tell you things about him that won't be very flattering. I know more about him than anybody other than perhaps his wife," Trump said Tuesday, saying that she's really running the campaign. And he also said DeSantis would hurt himself very badly if he ran. I don't know what Trump meant by that, but it's seeming very blackmail-y. I'm sure that's not the intention, but whatever. And he also put out a scathing email blast and Truth Social post, the same thing on both, which I'm gonna read aloud live in a couple seconds. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I'm gonna read Trump's post blasting DeSantis. I'll tell you my analysis of why I think DeSantis has gotten super popular. Then I'll tell you my opinion of what I think about it. The show starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm live. I want to read Trump's Truth Social tweet or truth, whatever it's called. The truth. He posted a truth on truthsocial.com and also an email blast about DeSantis. I haven't even fully read it yet, so I'll read it live. And then I want to talk about two things. My analysis on the situation, accurate, unfiltered, unbiased analysis, why DeSantis has been rising. And then I'll tell you my opinion after that. So I'm going to do my fair, unbiased analysis of both of them, then my opinion after. But first I want to say Arizona's still counting, Nevada's still counting. The fact that it takes them so long to count votes is just completely inexcusable. We still don't know who won the House, and we still don't know who won the Senate. It's ridiculous, but we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to read the post in Trump's voice. I'm not doing this just to mock Trump or anything. I can't read a Trump tweet or post or whatever it's called, truth. How could you read a Trump post without a Trump voice? It just doesn't hit the same. So I'm going to read it in my best Trump impression. It's a long one, so stay tuned. Save America, President Donald Trump. Statement by Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States of America. Donald Trump said, "News Corp, which is Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and the no longer great New York Post, bring back coal, is all in for Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, an average Republican, all caps, governor with great public relations who didn't have to close up his state but did, unlike other Republican governors whose overall number for a Republican were just average, middle of the pack, including COVID, and who has the advantage of sunshine, all caps, where people from badly run states up north would go no matter who the governor was, just like I did. Ron came to me in desperate shape in 2017. He was politically dead, losing in a landslide to a very good agricultural commissioner, Adam Putnam, who was loaded up with cash and great poll numbers. Ron had low approval, bad polls, no money, but he said that if I would endorse him, he could win. I didn't know Adam, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. When I endorsed him, it was as though, to use bad term, a nuclear weapon went off. Years later, they were the exact words that Adam Putnam used to describe Ron's endorsement. He said, I went from having it made with no competition to immediately getting absolutely clobbered after your endorsement. I then got Ron the star of the Democratic Party, Andrew Gillum, who was later revealed to be a crackhead, in quotes. I like how he put that in quotes, by having two massive rallies with tens of thousands of people at each one. I also fixed his campaign, which had completely fallen apart. I was all in for Ron and he beat Gillum, but after the race, when the votes were being stolen by the corrupt election process in Broward County, and Ron was going down 10,000 votes a day, along with now Senator Rick Scott, I sent in the FBI and the U.S. attorneys, and the ballot theft immediately ended, just prior to them running out of the votes necessary to win. I stopped his election from being stolen, and now Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games. The fake news asked him if he's going to run president if Trump runs, and he says, I'm only focused on the governor's race. I'm not looking into the future. Well, in terms of loyalty and class, that's not really the right answer. This is just like 2015 and 2016, a media assault collusion when Fox News fought me until the end and I won. And then they couldn't have been nicer or more supportive. The Wall Street Journal loved low energy Jeb Bush, and a succession of other people as they rapidly disappeared from sight, finally falling in line with me after I easily knocked them out one by one. We're in the exact same position now. They will keep coming after us, MAGA, but ultimately we will win. Put America first and make America great again. So I had to that was my half Trump voice. I didn't go 100% mockery Trump or anything. I just went half Trump, because if you read a Trump post with no Trump accent, it's like, what's the point? It doesn't sound right. So one thing that stuck out to me before I do my analysis, he said he sent the FBI to save Ron's election from election fraud. If Trump had the power to save elections from election fraud with the FBI, why didn't he send the FBI on November 2020? I don't understand. It's like sometimes he's like a victim where he can't do anything about the election. It's everyone else's fault. And then when Ron DeSantis, I guess, defeats election fraud, all of a sudden Trump has power to stop election fraud in its tracks, but only for DeSantis, not for himself, right? Before I get into my opinion about all this, let me just say this. For Trump supporters, a bunch of Trump operatives, whatever, anybody, if you really take my opinion out of it, my analysis, everything Trump said right there, which we'll get into later, let's do a fair analysis of why Ron DeSantis rose. Trump is such an egomaniac. It's all about him. He doesn't want to analyze, okay, there's a reason Ron DeSantis got really popular, because there's hundreds of people that Trump endorsed that didn't get this popular. So it's not like Trump made Ron DeSantis. Did Trump help Ron DeSantis? Of course. Trump has endorsed hundreds of people. Why are they all not at Ron DeSantis' level? There's a reason. Because it's not all about just a Trump endorsement. I mean, maybe it helps you win an election sometimes, but he became somebody that people liked. He governed Florida in a way that a lot of people liked. I mean, Trump can sit there and say that, oh, everybody's just fleeing to Florida because you're there. They would have went anyway. I mean, every governor in the country is not governing like Ron DeSantis. And before we get to my opinion, I'll tell you why I think he maybe made mistakes, etc. But I'm giving you a reason of why he got popular. I'm not here pointing out all his flaws and mistakes right now. I'll do that later. He didn't open up the earliest during COVID, which is hilarious. Donald Trump's bringing that up. He's like, oh, he didn't even open up the earliest. It's like, dude, Trump was telling Georgia to keep shut down. Trump was referencing fake data saying Sweden's dying and America's good for being locked down. So lockdown Don was not the first one to open up the country. Kristi Noem was first. Governor Kemp was first. And then now all of a sudden he acts like he had this foresight to open up the country. He's still, and this is something that people don't seem to understand. Ron DeSantis has admitted that lockdowns were a mistake. I've never heard Donald Trump say lockdowns were a mistake until he's bashing DeSantis like he could have opened up earlier, which is true, but it's like, have you ever even, if it's not a jab at DeSantis for personal gain, he's never admitted that lockdowns were a mistake. But anyway, DeSantis became the leader America was looking for against COVID. Was he too late? Sure. Could he have been earlier? Absolutely. But did he push the vaccine as well and sell it? Yes. But he also, I would say, backtracked, did a 180, and became the leader everybody was looking for. Trump went around the country, and I've said this for 2 years, so this was always going to come to this point. People have been ignoring it, and I'm going to accurately point it out because people freak out. Well, he didn't mandate it. Well, DeSantis sold the vaccine too. We'll save that for the end, and I hear what you're saying, but listen to what I'm saying, or else you're just going to be missing the whole plot. DeSantis spent most of his time when he was on microphone fighting the mandates, standing up to the forced masking of children, and being the leader on microphone that America needed, pushing back against Fauci, pushing back against the COVID tyranny, basically just saying common sense stuff that we were all thinking and feeling. So it's like, oh, regardless of what you think of DeSantis, you're like, oh, there's a guy actually saying the truth about forced masking kids and this and that. He spent most of his energy pushing back against the COVID mandates. Trump, on the other hand, although maybe their policy on paper was similar, Trump spent most of 2021 selling the vaccine, overselling it, to an extent that even Bill Gates, DeSantis, and Fauci combined didn't go. Donald Trump said his vaccine saved 100 million lives. That's a claim DeSantis never made. That's a claim Bill Gates never made. Everybody knows that's a lie, but Trump just keeps running around the country lying for Big Pharma, saying it saved 50 million lives, 20 million lives, 100 million lives. He's literally said the vaccine saved 100 million lives. No one thinks that's true. None of his supporters think that's true, but this has become the Trump cult of personality. He surrounds himself by yes men who would literally sniff his butthole to get a trip at Mar-a-Lago, and even all these pro-Trump influencers like David Harris, DC Drano, typical liberal, they're all getting ratioed every time they support Trump, even all their supporters like DeSantis. And I'm not knocking all of them because I'm friends with some of them. I'm just saying, like, even their own supporters are not, they don't like Trump as much as DeSantis. And they're some of the most pro-Trump pages I find, and they're even getting ratioed on their own page. Is everyone getting paid by Jeb Bush and neocons, or all your supporters secretly GOP operatives? No, people have a real reason to like DeSantis more than Trump. I'm not getting into my opinion about the situation yet. I'm just analyzing it. There's a reason everybody's ratioing Trump pages. There's a reason people like DeSantis. He was the leader during COVID that everybody was looking for in 2021, and instead of prioritizing what we were going through, Trump prioritized shilling for his big pharma friends, saying it was the great. These are real Trump statements that he made about the vaccine. No one made this. Someone said DC Drano's a rock star. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. I'm not saying he's sniffing Trump's butthole. Some of the other ones are. But in general, DC Drano, every time he posts about Trump or DeSantis, everybody likes DeSantis more than Trump. I'm just being honest. He sees it as well. It's his page. This is just my analysis. But with that being said, these are statements Trump made about the vaccine that DeSantis, Fauci, and Gates never even made. It saved 100 million lives. He said it's the greatest human achievement, one of the greatest achievements of mankind. That's what he said. One of the greatest achievements of mankind. He calls himself the father of the vaccines. He says he's responsible for the vaccine. He wants credit for it because he rushed the FDA and Fauci to get it out. The FDA has safety trials and an actual policy that they usually follow, and Trump, I don't know if it's true, but he wants to tell you he's the one who pushed them to get it out sooner, which is evil, horrible, and if that's true, everybody who got injured from the product, he should take the blame for, because if he's truly strong-arming the FDA to get a gene, mRNA vaccine out to the public even faster than they want to, that's not a good thing. That's a horrible thing. That means he's a terrible person. But whatever. So these, when people, I'm just trying to break it all down real quick before I give my opinion. People keep saying to me, but anomaly, Ron DeSantis sold the vaccine too. I'm giving my analysis of why DeSantis is more popular. If you want to lie to yourself, you're allowed to lie to yourself. It's a free country, but this is the truth. Yes, DeSantis sold the vaccine. Yes, DeSantis could have opened up earlier. Yes, DeSantis did oversell the vaccine as well and say some fibs about it. But he did it like once or twice, and then like 50 times he went the other direction. Trump has sold it like 100 times and exaggerated even more than DeSantis and never provided these great speeches about what we're going through. So if you want to compare who oversold the vaccine more, Donald Trump oversold the vaccine 20 times more than Ron DeSantis. It's not even close. Did DeSantis do it? Yes, but not to the extent that Trump did. Did Trump, fight the mandates? He wasn't going to mandate it, but as far as his rhetoric and also like his stance, like when he's in these interviews and as a platform, he spent very little time fighting the mandates and this much time selling the vaccines. Ron DeSantis was the opposite. He spent this much time selling the vaccines and this much time fighting the mandates. So I just want to say this, whether DeSantis is a neocon or a phony or whatever he's going to be when he gets in, I'm going to give my opinion later. I'm just saying, a lot of these GOP operatives and or these Trump shills, you guys got to be honest. You can't keep calling if you like DeSantis better than Trump, you must be a neocon. If you like DeSantis better than Trump, you must be paid. Most of the country likes DeSantis more than Trump because DeSantis was the leader that everybody was looking for during COVID, whether you want to admit it or not. It doesn't mean he's perfect. That's just the truth. He also governed very effectively in Florida. He pushed back against Disney. People like that. He pushed back against, the child agenda and pro-schools, pro-family stuff. People like that. His style of answering interviews and also doing speeches, I saw him do a speech. He's a good speech guy. He's not like a big clown like Donald Trump. Like Trump is funny, charismatic, but Trump is kind of like a goofy clown sort of thing where it's like it's all about him. It's all a big show. DeSantis is more no nonsense. Is he as funny as Trump? No. Is he as like bravado as Trump? No, but some people like that. Some people like that he's like half Trump, half normal, where it's like everything's not a show. He doesn't make things a bigger scene than they have to be. He's not always talking about himself and the numbers and how many people were in the crowd. It's like Trump is such an egomaniac. I back him all the time, but at a certain point, he becomes his own worst enemy. So DeSantis, some people like his style of governing better. He just doesn't talk about it that much. And when he's confronted with fake news, he addresses it, he nails them, and then he walks away. It's not like a big scene. So this is my trying to be as fair as I can. These are the reasons people like DeSantis more than Trump. I might be forgetting a few, but some people like his style better. Some people like the fact that he governed better. And I think the elephant in the room, which took him from here to here, wasn't the fact that Trump endorsed him in 2017. Trump endorsed hundreds of candidates in 2017, 18, 19, 20. All of them are not Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis became the leader people wanted during COVID, whether you want to admit it or not. And that took him from here to here. It's the same reason, RFK got a lot of support. Del Bigtree got a lot of support. Robert Malone became a rock star. Why? Nobody cared about Robert Malone 5 years ago. Why is Peter McCullough a rock star? Nobody really cared about Peter. I mean, in the science community they did, but in pop culture, nobody cared about Robert Malone and Peter McCullough 4 years ago. Why are they so popular now? Because they became leaders during the lockdowns and the COVID that people want. Trump was not that guy. He just wasn't. DeSantis was, McCullough was, Robert Malone. Whether you trust or like them or not, that's just the truth. This was the biggest moment of our lifetime, and Trump chose the priority of being the quarterback of Operation Warp Speed and the number one salesman of Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed is this multi-billion-dollar mRNA vaccine rollout that Trump wanted to be the quarterback of, the father of, and he wanted to be the top salesman of. He chose that path. With that being said, before I get to my opinion, in my perspective, Donald Trump had the heart and soul and mind of the GOP. Nobody could have stopped Donald Trump. And still to this day, I can't stop Donald Trump. DeSantis can't stop Donald Trump. Joe Biden couldn't have stopped Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton clearly didn't stop Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell can't stop Donald Trump. Paul Ryan, Fox News can't stop Donald Trump. Donald Trump had so much power when it comes to social influence. He still does, but I'm just saying, DeSantis couldn't have just beaten Trump unless Trump beat himself. This is the truth. No one could have stopped Trump except for Trump himself. And Trump shot himself in the foot 20 times. And now that DeSantis is beating him in the polls on all the betting odds, Trump is freaking out. He's freaking out because he realizes that if DeSantis runs, he'll probably beat him. And Trump, instead of learning, it's like losing a game where you play terrible and you go back to the drawing board and it's like, say you're an MMA fighter, you lose a fight. You got to be like, all right, we lost. Why did I lose the fight? I had bad defense. My grappling was bad. You can't just be like freak out. You got to look. You have to have self-awareness and self-accountability. Look at yourself and realize what you did wrong. Trump has no self-accountability, no self-awareness. He's always been like a little bit like that, but I think in the last 2 years it's gotten bad, maybe because he's like 80 years old now and he's spiraling. But I always thought, even though he was cocky, I thought he had pretty good humility. Like, I don't think Trump was that big of a D-bag when he ran in 2016 and 2018. He had this like humble yet cocky mentality to Trump. Like, I found him kind of like, likable, where it's like, yeah, he's cocky, but I like it. But he's also very self-aware. It seems like his self-awareness went out the window. He made himself less popular than DeSantis because DeSantis became what he wasn't. DeSantis filled the void of the leadership that Trump wasn't doing because he was busy doing, Bill Gates vaccine sales and like priding himself on, saving the planet with mRNA shots, which obviously did it. Everybody knows he's lying. I know he's lying. DC Drainer knows he's lying. David Harris knows he's lying. Candace Owens knows he's lying. Typical liberal knows he's lying. Everybody knows he's lying. For some reason, I'm the only one who wants to talk about it. I guess I'm not knocking these other people, but it's like we all know he's lying about the vaccine. It didn't save 100 million lives. It isn't one of the greatest human achievements of mankind. It's not this amazing feat. How come I'm the only one who wants to say it? It's like everybody wants to just kiss Trump's ass because they want opportunities. And because everybody's been kissing Trump's ass so much, they've made him a monster. They've made him a terrible person, a terrible leader, and a bad choice for president. It's like, help the guy out. Tell him that he's wrong. Nobody wants to tell him he's wrong. Everyone's like, yeah, I know it's not true, but I just want to, lick the dirt off his shoes because then I can hang out at Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure you do. People have become like Republican Trump lobbyists or something. Like, they don't even care about the country, the First Amendment. It's like, yeah, dude, he's lying crazily big. Like, 100 million lives? No one believes that. Everybody feels like me. Nobody wants to call it out. So it's like he surrounded himself by yes men. He keeps shooting himself in the foot, and nobody wants to tell him. So DeSantis rose like that. That's my analysis of why he became the leader Trump wasn't, not because he endorsed him. Nobody wants to tell Trump. Everybody wants to act like his shit doesn't stink. So he just becomes worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And he's been garbage for a year and a half now. His leadership has been doo-doo. He's gone on a tour and just lied through his teeth about the vaccine on everything. Newsmax, Fox News, Maria Bartiromo, conservative media. He even had the nerve to say on Maria Bartiromo and others, he said that he doesn't believe that, there would be protests if he was president because he thinks the protests are because people don't trust Biden with the vaccine. So Trump's theory is if I was president, even if there were mandates, it wouldn't matter because everybody would have got the vaccine. Trump's not looking at this stuff like, oh my God, this is all evil and you shouldn't do it. He's like, oh, if I were president, all my supporters would have got the vaccine. The reason they didn't get the vaccine is because they don't trust Biden. That's not true. Maybe to a few people, but most people, there's a reason we don't get the vaccine. It's protected by the PrEP Act, so they have no liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths. It's a warp-speeded product that you even admit you rushed through the FDA. You put a pharmacy lobbyist at the head of HHS. You did $10 billion, $20 billion, Operation Warp Speed, I think it was like $16 billion, giving money to Pharma. They're protected by immunity. You have a pharmacy lobbyist running our government. The whole thing was corrupt. That's why I didn't want to get it. Not because you were president or Biden's president. Most people, we're not he's treating us like we're idiots. And everybody just lets him get away with it. So I stand by the fact that I think no one, not me, not DeSantis, nobody could have made Trump less popular than DeSantis besides Trump. That's what he did, and he just keeps getting worse, and nobody wants to tell him because everybody wants to sniff his ass to get a trip to Mar-a-Lago. But the funniest part is the truth wins. God wins. I'm not in competition with anybody. You have all these Trump grifter accounts. Every time they post about Trump, nobody likes it. Even your own supporters don't like it. And now a lot of these people are trying to run with this narrative that, people must be paid to like DeSantis more. I just told you all the reasons like DeSantis more. He's been a better leader over the last year and a half. More common sense. I watched both of their speeches back to back at TPUSA. DeSantis one night, Trump. I've already talked about it, so I don't want to repeat my old live streams, but DeSantis' speech was selfless. It was about everybody else. It was about the mandates, about the schools, everything he did, inspiring. Trump's was like a big sniff my ass rally. It's like, I wanted to give myself a medal. Like, it wasn't this speech that really inspired me. That was like, oh my gosh, it was all about him. I think Trump would literally take his supporters and throw them into a burning pit to hell if he could slightly benefit himself. I really personally believe that's who he is after my analysis of the last 2 years. I didn't think he was like that in 2019, 2020, but last 2 years have proven just completely shameless. I'm going to get into my critiques of DeSantis too, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to say to everybody out there, people like DeSantis for a reason. Stop lying about why they like him. They're not paid. He's been a better leader. And the more you kiss Trump's ass, the shittier he gets, the more he shoots himself in the foot, the less chance he has to win in president. No one can stop Trump but Trump. And all these GOP ass-sniffing grifters who just want to literally sniff his ass and say it smells like a palm tree. You guys got to get over yourself. It's pathetic. Now, I want to get into my personal perspective. There's pros and cons to both of them. I would say DeSantis, the pros are all the things I just mentioned. Way better with COVID. He put in, I want to just compare two very big things. DeSantis put Joseph Lombardo as a Surgeon General. When it comes to the COVID lockdowns and the mandates, it's not something that's in the past. A lot of them still linger. A lot of people have suffered. They've set us back 10 years economically. Psychologically, they've damaged millions of kids. The masks are still on at a lot of health facilities. It's not completely gone. But with that being said, you can't make America great again, and you can't conserve anything, and you can't be Republican or Libertarian if you don't address the elephant in the room, which was the whole COVID scheme that came in and destroyed everything. So it's not this little small issue in the past. It's a huge issue. And if you can't wrangle in Big Pharma and prove you can stand up to Big Pharma, then what's the point of supporting somebody, right? Trump did not fight Big Pharma. I'm sorry that this hurts people's feelings, and I'm sorry that I'm the only one with the balls to report it, besides maybe Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Dr. Shiva and a few others. But in general, Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist named Alex Azar, head of Eli Lilly, one of the biggest pharma executives in the world, in the country, and he put him at the head of HHS. HHS is more powerful than even Fauci. Fauci works for HHS. Yes, Fauci has power, but the HHS can declare an emergency. Trump handed Big Pharma our government. He handed them our health department on a platter. He said, let's cut out. I mean, it's happened before where they do this sort of stuff, but is Trump this outsider that's fighting Big Pharma? No, he put the most pharma swamper that he could have found at the head of pharma and left him there for 4 years. That's who declared the emergency. He worked with Fauci, Gates, did pretty much everything they wanted. Yeah, he hawked a few alternative medications for a few months in March to April and May, but he hasn't since then, since the vaccine came out. In my personal perspective, this is just my analysis. I can't prove this. He was hawking, Ivor blank blank and hydroxy blank blank, the words that must not be named or the AI algorithms get you. I like that he did that, honestly, because I think it seemed like very authentic and like classic Trump, but he hasn't talked about those in years. Personally, I think the death count looked bad on him. So while the vaccine, his vaccine corruption was going, I think Trump was just trying to get the death count low, not for everybody else, but to make himself look good. And as soon as he got all the vaccine stuff in order, he stopped talking about those medications like they don't even exist anymore, because those medications, the ones he was talking about, if those were either approved or known to be a cure, through emergencies, you can't have alternate medications that work. So once the vaccine came out, it feels like someone told him, shut up about those, because if those actually work, then the emergency executive orders on these vaccines won't go through. So it's not like he kept doing it. As soon as Operation Warp Speed was done, he shifted from that to like the biggest vaccine salesman I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, with that being said, this is one of my biggest issues. Then I'm going to say things I disagree with DeSantis on, but one of my biggest issues is Big Pharma. They've swallowed up our country. They've swallowed up our media. They swallowed up our government. They swallowed up politics. They swallowed up the country. They helped destroy the economy. Both parties were in on it. So Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist at the biggest position in the land. DeSantis did the opposite. DeSantis picked a frontline doctor, a surgeon general, Joseph Lombardo, who's fighting the mandates, fighting Big Pharma. He's one of the only people in government in the health department who's not sold out to Big Pharma. Joseph Lombardo is the man. DeSantis didn't have to do that. With that being said, here's the crazy part. Some people are upset at me, but hear me out. I don't really care. Can anybody ask Trump, any of these people who sniff his butt, ask him if he's learned his lesson. Ask him, hey, Trump, if I vote for you in 2024 over DeSantis or over Rand Paul or over whoever, are you going to hand the keys to the castle to Big Pharma again, or have you learned your lesson? This is a serious question. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you pretend to hate me or not, because I'm telling the truth now, I don't care. I want to know. I'm a voter. Are you going to hand the government to Big Pharma again? Trump handed the government to Big Pharma. He put a lobbyist at the biggest health position. Do I not? And people try to bully me all 2020, bully me all 2021, bully me all 2020. Do I not have the right as a registered Republican and a voter to know if the guy who handed the government to Big Pharma is going to do it again? You know who asks him if he's going to do it again? Nobody. You know why? Because all the biggest right-wing influencers are sniffing his ass. They just want trips to Mar-a-Lago and donor money and a bunch of grifty, college campus tours so they could sell out America and hand our Constitution to Israel and claim it's anti-Semitic once they pass speech laws that go against our Constitution. I know what they're doing, but long story short, why do I not have the right as a voter and an American citizen to know if he's going to do that again? So when these people say, you must be a neocon, you must support everything DeSantis does. No, I'm just naming one issue that happens to be one of the biggest issues in the world. DeSantis put a real doctor that's fighting corruption, and Donald Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist who destroyed, our country. Slightly. It wasn't just him, but you get it. But how are we ever going to know what Trump's going to do? Because no one wants to ask him. Why is no info? It's been 2 years. I've been shouting this to the rooftop. David Harris, ask him the question. Candace, ask him the question. Candace asked him some good questions so she could get a pass because she actually gave him an interview. No one wants to ask him. But then you want to belittle me if I say DeSantis does this particular thing better than Trump and this particular thing is really important? It's like a cult now. And then I say it's a cult and people wig out like, what do you mean it's a cult? It's a cult, bro. If I can't even ask you, I don't think Trump's learned anything. And when it comes to the lockdown, DeSantis was on camera, admitted if he knew what he knows now, he would have never locked down Florida. That's what he said. That's called humility. That's called learning. It's okay to make mistakes. I don't think it's the greatest mistake to make, but as long as you prove you learn from your mistakes. Trump doesn't learn from any of his mistakes. In fact, he just hates people who try to show him the way. If Trump had humility, he'd be more popular than DeSantis now. He'd be like, oh, I realize what DeSantis is doing better than me. Oh, I realize why people like DeSantis more. Let me just be a better leader. Instead of that, he wants to destroy DeSantis. He has no humility, no self-awareness, and no self-accountability. And these people sniffing his butthole are the reason he's screwing up the country. Ask him if he's going to put pharmacy lobbyists at the head of the health department again. No, you don't want to ask him. You just want to cry about everybody who likes DeSantis more. It's like this party's becoming a total joke. It's becoming a joke. So that is an important issue to me. Big Pharma. Is DeSantis perfect? No. Did he do the lockdowns perfect? No. Did he sell the vaccine too much for my liking? Yes. But Trump is like 100 times worse than him on this issue. And every time you call him out, Trump just spirals and tries to destroy your life. He tried to destroy Thomas Massie when he told him the truth. Thomas Massie told him the CARES Act was the biggest mistake in modern history. The CARES Act was the biggest exchange of wealth, multi-trillion-dollar scam bill that rearranged our entire government into COVID world. And Trump passed it with Pelosi and McConnell. And they all smiled. And the only one, the only real libertarian in government, the only good guy in Congress, his name is Thomas Massie. And he said, this is a mistake. And Trump said, you're a third-rate Republican. We should kick you out of the party. So this is who Trump is. You tell him the truth. Hey, dude, you're doing something communist. You're doing something bad. You're going to implode the economy. You're going to screw up the country. This is a whole scam. And Trump looks at you and says, oh, you, Thomas Massie, the libertarian, the good guy, the only one who's telling me the truth, you're going to get kicked out of the party. Luckily, people aren't stupid enough to kick Thomas Massie out, and he's still in Congress, thank God, because he's the only real one there. This is who Trump, oh, DeSantis is doing a better job than me? Oh, let's destroy him. Let's blackmail him. Basically, it's like, yo, if you run, I'm going to say things about you that nobody knows, only your wife knows. I mean, that's pretty much blackmail. Like, instead of learning his lesson of how shitty his leadership was during 2020 and 2021, he's like, oh, let's just kick Thomas Massie out of the party and semi-blackmail Ron DeSantis. And everyone's like, yeah, America. Like, dude, he's a mess. Now I'm going to get to things that I like better about Trump over DeSantis. Trump has a good foreign policy. He did a great job overseas. He did a good job in Syria. He did a great job in North Korea. And I do think he would have done a better job with Russia and Ukraine. No doubt, Trump earned his stripes with his foreign policy. He did a pretty solid job. You could give him whatever grade you want, but he did better than Obama and Hillary, in my opinion. So we don't know what DeSantis' foreign policy is. Is it concerning that there are certain sneaky neocons and like old Bush types that do support DeSantis? For sure. It is interesting. Someone brought up like the fact that he went to Yale. A lot of people say that Yale has secret societies like Skull and Bones, or maybe not so secret because it has a Wikipedia page. These are questions that if right-wingers actually did journalism, maybe somebody would ask them, are you in Skull and Bones? Just like Trump, are you friends with Bill Gates? That's what real journalists would do, but we don't have journalists on the right wing. We just have professional butt sniffers. When Trump or DeSantis gets an interview, like, did you fart? It smells like roses. Yeah. Like, that's what people are in the GOP. Nobody asks Trump or DeSantis real questions. They all just like sniff his ass and hope that they'll get a flight out on Air Force One or something. So unfortunately, as much as we make fun of the left, we don't really have real journalists either on this side. But in general, these are things that you should ask, just like Tulsi Gabbard. Do you trust Tulsi, or does she still work with CFR and, whatever, World Economic Forum? Why doesn't anybody ask her? I don't understand it. You think I would do an interview or a chat with Tulsi Gabbard and not ask that? How could you not ask that? It's like the lady's done 40 interviews with right-wingers and nobody wants to ask her the question. Maybe she has a good answer and you trust it. Maybe she has a bad answer. We don't even know who Trump is because nobody asks the guy questions. It's ridiculous. But Trump did have good foreign policy, and DeSantis is a question mark with a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I think you want to earn people's respect and be like, yeah, I'm the better leader, instead of just bashing at him and like blackmailing him. To me, that shows that Trump is really scared. Like, he's really scared that DeSantis is upstaging him. it's getting to this point where I think the first couple of years his leadership was like, I'm crushing it so much, everybody's going to support me, and we did. And now it's like he's become this type of leader that's like, you owe me your loyalty forever. I don't have to do anything, and I'm going to destroy your life and blackmail you if you ever come out against me. It's like, bro, at a certain point, you do have to actually do something too. Like you got to admit what everyone else admit. Everybody else, like every other right-wing influencer's like, yeah, even Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is probably my least favorite, one of my least. I think he is like the sneakiest, most deceptive conner, but whatever. He's done some good work as well, and he hires good people. With Matt Walsh, great hire. Candace, good hire. But in general, I don't like or trust Ben Shapiro at all. Even Ben Shapiro semi-admitted it was a little sneaky and deceptive. He didn't actually say sorry, but he did admit, Ben Shapiro, that the COVID vaccine was not as good as they said, and he, in hindsight, probably wouldn't have gotten it. If Ben Shapiro can admit that, but Donald Trump can't admit that, I don't want to vote for somebody that's less trustworthy than Ben Shapiro. Like, even Ben said that. Trump has still not admitted that the original lockdown was a mistake. He's only bragged about it. He's still not. I mean, he won't even say that the vaccine is mid-tier. He's just like, it's the greatest thing ever. Like, he's such a liar. I don't like lies. I don't care if DeSantis lies or Trump lies or Shapiro. I'm not into liars. If I just start lying all the time and I'm like saying stuff that's totally wrong, why would you even watch my channel? Like, who wants a liar? And this is the part that annoys me personally with somebody that's been knee-deep in a lot of the, conservative MAGA stuff. In 2016 to 2019, there weren't any excuses. All the excuses for Trump were like personal stuff that were like rumors, and he said this on a bus 30 years ago. He hacked the Russia. All the excuses we made for Trump weren't excuses. It was the truth. It was like, he said what 35 years ago? It's not even that big of a deal. He didn't work with Russia. You're lying. Like, we were defending Trump, but it was righteous and moral. We weren't making excuses. I wasn't doing journalism in 2018 saying, oh yeah, Trump's lying, but I like the fact that he lies. Trump wasn't lying. People seem to forget that from 2016 to 2019, Trump wasn't really lying that much. He was a little wild. He might have had some personal issues with people in the past who hated him, but he wasn't out here lying all the time. The Trump and MAGA movement from 2016 to 2019 wasn't, oh, Trump keeps lying and I have to make excuses for his stupid lies. It was like, oh, Trump is actually crushing. He's telling way more truth than any other politician, and they're trying to take him down with personal attacks because he's actually doing a decent job. And then 2020 came around. Now MAGA is like a totally different movement. It's like, I'm like, Trump said the vaccine saved 100 million lives. That's a bigger lie than he's said before. Yeah, but I want to go to Mar-a-Lago. Okay, Trump said the vaccine's the greatest human achievement in modern history. That's crazy. Yeah, but I don't want to call him out because Trump will try to destroy your life. If you tell the truth to Trump when he lies, he'll try to treat you like DeSantis or Thomas Massie. Let this be a message to any worshiper of Trump. The second you tell the truth to this guy when he lies, he tries to destroy your life. He's not like, oh yeah, I made a mistake. It's like, oh yeah, get the hell out of it. So it's not the same movement. It's not like, oh, I wasn't just making random excuses for him for no reason for 3.5 years. He was just doing a good job. Someone said he's promoting the jab more than Bill Gates. That's crazy. I mean, if you take the airtime that Bill Gates has only done a few interviews in last year, Trump did like 30 interviews. And when to be 100% honest, I can't say I trust people less than, I don't trust very many people less than I trust Bill Gates. So don't get what I'm saying twisted, because I don't trust Bill Gates. We pretty much have the exact opposite worldview, and there's not very many people I trust less than Bill Gates. That being said, when you listen to a Bill Gates interview selling the vaccine, somehow Bill Gates has more humility than Trump, where he'll be like, yeah, I mean, I guess there might be side effects, but he doesn't exactly say that, but he'll be like, yeah, I mean, we are rushing it through safety, so there's going to be some, but he'll even have somewhat of a fair conversation about it, even though he's obviously selling the vaccine really hard. But he's like, yeah, I mean, there are going to be some trade-offs when you rush a vaccine this fast. That's just the truth. With Trump, he doesn't admit that there's vaccine injuries. He doesn't admit that there's trade-offs when you rush it out. Trump is a bigger liar than Bill Gates on the vaccine. Bill Gates obviously wants to sell the vaccine. But Trump sells it harder than Bill Gates. He says it's the greatest achievement of mankind. It's the greatest thing ever. It saved 100 million lives. He's so great for rushing it. Has Trump ever talked about the VAERS reporting or anything? Of course not. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just crazy to me that people in MAGA have been making excuses for him selling the vaccine harder than Bill Gates for 2 years. And it's just made him worse and worse and worse and worse. And now that he has competition, he's spiraling. So, Trump's good on foreign policy, or at least to some extent, I think a lot of people think. And DeSantis is a question mark. Trump, I don't know personally if I could even say that Trump is like more of an outsider. In 2016, I would have been like, Trump's an outsider. DeSantis, it's suspect that there's a lot of neocons supporting him. But like, Trump he hired Christopher Wray. He hired a pharmacy lobbyist. He hired John Bolton. He endorsed McConnell, McCarthy. When I saw him at the rally, he was on stage with McCarthy. It's like, is Trump even an outsider anymore? I don't guess. It's not like I trust the fact that they like DeSantis more than Trump, but like, it's not like Trump's this guy that's like for sure not going to work with the system. His FBI director was so system that it's still there. Biden didn't even have to change the FBI director. That's how status quo that guy was. And it's like, so I don't understand this angle of like, oh, all these guys like DeSantis more than Trump. Yeah, that's concerning, but it's like Trump, it's not like Trump's this guy that for sure is going to put in all great people. It seems like so far DeSantis makes better hires than Trump. That's just, he doesn't have as big of a position, but DeSantis with the health department has hired better people than Trump did. So I'm not saying that's the be all end all, but I don't know why people are still acting like Trump didn't hire a bunch of terrible people and saying like, that's why you can't like DeSantis more than Trump. So I think the pros of DeSantis would be way, way more popular. Here's a crazy thing too. Sorry, I don't mean to ramble, but I'm just kind of thinking things as I go along. Then I got to go in 10 minutes. I had a friend basically freaking out over election night, pretty much ruin our friendship and relationship over the fact he wanted to talk about the fraud during the election, which was fine. I wasn't knocking it. I was just pointing out the fact that DeSantis won a swing state by 10 points. Even if you don't like DeSantis, I'm just talking about like he turned Miami red. That's pretty crazy. Even if you hate him, I'm just commenting as a commenter. I've told people the speech laws that DeSantis passed. I told him that I don't fully trust these people, but I make one comment, and my friend basically sabotaged our entire relationship and friendship by basically trying to question my character. He was being very emotional like a woman, but in general, it's like he was so emotional that night. He was trying to tell me that Florida wasn't a swing state before DeSantis. Like these people are getting so delusional that I'm like, listen, even if you hate DeSantis, Florida was a swing state before he got there. He almost lost to Andrew Gillum by like this much. Now he's turned Florida red. Do we want to really play the game that DeSantis had no part in doing that? It's not true. And then people are trying to make the excuse like, even Trump did in the email. He said, everybody wants to move to Florida because it's hot. People are moving to Arizona and turning Arizona blue. People are moving to Texas and turning Texas blue. So why is Florida turning red but everywhere else is turning blue? This idea that people leaving and coming to your state makes it more red isn't true. Even states that are super red, the more people who move there, it usually turns blue. Yes, people maybe move there because of the lockdowns, but then you got to give DeSantis credit for branding Florida as an open state if it got more conservatives. But if you look at the data, it's more deep than just Republicans flying to Florida to live. He's shifted the perception of a lot of people in the cities through his leadership during COVID. The point I'm trying to get to, even if you hate DeSantis, you got people that are so delusional and emotional right now, whether it be for Trump or for the election, that they're literally trying to tell me that Florida wasn't a swing state before, and DeSantis has nothing to do with it. It's not true. He did a good job leading. He didn't make a huge scene like Trump. He got his message out there effectively every time, and he just executed on like 50 different ideas and got the message across to people in Florida, and now that swing state is red. Even if you don't like him, that's what happened. And I'm commenting on it, and people were like freaking out. With that being said, I see a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, this and that, and I don't really care. But there's certain things that I think aren't going to change if DeSantis gets in. I told people a bunch of times, I don't want to harp on this, but Trump and DeSantis passed speech laws basically for Israel. And it's very concerning because the First Amendment doesn't say, but don't talk about this and don't talk about that and don't talk about Jesus. But the speech laws do say that. So the fact that Trump and DeSantis are pretty much passing speech laws for what I would probably guess are Israeli lobbyists or donors. But if you say that, it's anti-Semitism, of course. But even though that's literally, like, why else would they pass a speech bill that goes against the Constitution? They're both doing it. So to me, that says they're both pretty much controlled by that, just like our whole country is. That's why you can't say it. That's one thing, though. Is it a big issue to me? Of course. Am I excusing Trump and DeSantis for it? No. But I'm also just being like, yeah, but DeSantis, in my opinion, I'd rather roll the dice with him at this point because Trump has already proven to just be an idiot, in my opinion. I don't think he's learned anything. And I would vote for Trump in 2024 if the base would allow me to ask questions, or some of them would ask questions to make me feel good about the fact that he learned something. DeSantis has showed me he might not be good on certain issues that are good to me, and that doesn't mean he's my first choice. I would rather Rand Paul or Thomas Massie, but with that being said, DeSantis has proven that he's willing to stand up to Big Pharma. DeSantis has proven that he can flip a little quicker, and to me, I just think Trump just keeps getting worse and worse, and I want to think that he could turn it around, but at this point, I think it's too big of a toxic movement where it's like, if you literally just ask a question, people say you're a neocon now. People say you sold out. DeSantis paid you. It's like, can anybody ask? One of my biggest issues is Big Pharma. Maybe not the main one, but pretty close. If you can't stand up to Big Pharma, I don't trust you. I don't like you, and I don't think you're going to do very much because I think Big Pharma is one of these things that has massive influence in our country. Trump didn't stand up to Big Pharma. DeSantis did. Am I not allowed to feel that way? Nobody wants to. If that's the MAGA movement now, like it's been for a year and a half, if you question Trump, you just got to trust the plan. If you question Trump, you're bad. If you want to ask him journalistic questions, screw you. Okay, then clearly I can't trust this guy. Unless MAGA changes, and it's created this new like civil war, now people are fighting Trump and DeSantis, and you got Trump people being really nasty to DeSantis people, being like, oh my gosh, you're sold out. It's like there's no real... it's just getting weird. And this has all been created because Trump is bashing DeSantis. And it's going to be this another little proxy war where everybody just bickers and nobody talks about the speech laws that keep getting passed. Nobody's going to talk about, all this. I don't know where this is going. Let me know what you guys think. I got to take off in a few minutes. Me personally, if Trump and DeSantis were on the ballot right now, I would vote for DeSantis. Why? For all the reasons I just told you. And also, I think people don't just like sniff his butt as much. So if he does do something stupid, I think people will be on it. It's so outside of Trump and the personality of DeSantis. It's so dangerous to have a movement that doesn't want to question their leader. It's weird. Biden sucks. I would vote for Trump over Biden because I don't want Biden and I think Trump would do some good things. With that being said, this MAGA movement has gotten weird, in my opinion, where it's like nobody wants to question the guy. Nobody asks journalistic questions. Nobody wants to hold him accountable. Nobody wants to say it's wrong. So what's the point of hiring somebody? He keeps doing, and then you just say, oh, he's got a plan. He doesn't have a plan. So to me, I'd almost rather somebody less popular get in so people start questioning them. I said this a year ago. I despise Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz is a fraud. I think he's a worse leader than Trump. I think he's a goofball. I don't like Ted Cruz at all. But if Ted Cruz won president, nobody likes him. I mean, people do like him. I'm not going to lie. They like him too much. They should like him a lot less. But he doesn't have this like cult of personality like Trump because Ted Cruz is like a doofus. So if Ted Cruz got in office and started doing weird things, the whole MAGA base and the conservative base would be like, Ted, don't do that. And he would get booed out of like an arena so fast that he would probably flip on a dime or else his political career would be dead in the water. This is very dangerous with Trump. It's good to like him, but it's like in the Trump movement, I hate Ted Cruz. Listen to what I'm saying. People can't double task with an analysis and they freak out. I despise Ted Cruz more than 99 out of 100 conservatives. I despise Ted Cruz. I think I've said some very rude things about him on this podcast. I'm just saying, analytically, if he won, he probably never will and he shouldn't, but people don't like him that much, so they would push back against all the bullshit he does. With Trump, people don't push back against the stuff because they just act like he's got a plan. Like when he does something weird, it's like if Ted Cruz said his vaccine saved 100 million lives, every single right-wing influencer would be making videos about it. Be like, yo, this piece of garbage said the vaccine saved 100 million lives. This piece of garbage said the vaccine's the greatest human achievement. When Trump says that stuff, it's a big cover-up. Everybody covers it up. I'm the only one putting it out there. And I appreciate the fact that everyone's so fake because it's only made me more popular. It's only established me as one of the more authentic people out there. So I'm not even mad from a business standpoint because when you're not doing something that everybody knows is true, you're just going to send more traffic to my page because people want the truth. They don't want you sniffing his ass to sell MAGA merch. So in general, it's like, I wish more people would do this for our country, but, if Ted Cruz said all the stuff that Trump did, everybody would be bashing him. Every right-wing page. It's this weird thing. All the right-wing pages I follow on Instagram, they're like professional Trump slob knobbers. They're professional Trump bootlickers. If DeSantis, not even DeSantis, but like if Ted Cruz or any other Republican said what Trump said, they'd be bashing him. But if Trump says it, they won't talk about it. They're like professional PR teams for Trump. It's a cover-up. They're even willing to talk trash about DeSantis more than Trump. I don't care. Talk trash about both of them. Just be honest. I'm just tired of this cult of personality. Nothing's going to get done. If we have a leader that can just screw up, hand the keys to the castle to Big Pharma, make lies about the vaccine, and not a single influencer is going to cover it, what's the point of supporting that guy? He's dangerous now, not just because he's so scary. It's because the base is so fake. It's like Trump has brainwashed them or lobbied them or something. Like they've met with him so many times or something that they can't ever critique him. That's dangerous for not like, oh, I'm so scared. It's just like, it's bad. Trump could be like, the vaccine saved 1 trillion lives, and I'm the only one that's going to make an Instagram reel about it. If Mitt Romney said that, you'd make an Instagram reel. If John McCain said that, you'd make an Instagram reel, especially because he's dead, because that would be a story. If anybody else said that, everybody would be covering it as a mockery. But when Trump says it, let's just ignore it. Let's just make excuses about it. Whatever. I'm going to end on this note. They both have flaws. I don't trust either of them. I think they're both going to sell our country out to the country that you can't talk about. And if you even say that, you hate people even though you don't. So I don't really have like high expectations for DeSantis. He did a better job standing up to Big Pharma. Trump slobbed their knob, has never learned a lesson, and nobody wants him to learn a lesson, I guess. He'll just keep slobbing the knob of Big Pharma. So that alone makes me like DeSantis a little more than Trump. I think his speeches are better now, and just like he has more humility and awareness. He's half his age. Trump is like 80, DeSantis is 45. So I see the flaws in both, and it's not like I'm like, oh, like people are like, oh, if you compliment him, you must. No, I see it. I'm not like overly enthralled. I don't think he's gonna save the world, but I prefer him over him. And I'm gonna end on this note. I really personally think that nobody can stop Trump except for himself. He's gained the hearts and souls of a lot of people. He's shooting himself in the foot. I would say 100 million people like him in this country, and those same people pretty much like DeSantis. Their crossovers, like, perfect. The real way to beat DeSantis would be being a better leader. The real way to beat DeSantis would be telling the truth more. If you got to bash him a few times, bash him. It's not a big deal. But, like, Trump is going all out, like, assault on the guy, but he doesn't even have tactic. He's not tactical with it. He's actually like pissing off his own base. So you can say what you want about my analysis. I'm one person. I'm not going to sway this election. But long story short, the only one who could stop Trump is Trump. And to this point, he has stopped himself in the last year. It's not DeSantis that just stole his thunder. He stole his own thunder. If he was doing the same thing DeSantis was doing with the COVID vaccine, if he was doing the same thing that DeSantis was doing with his rhetoric, he would be 2 times as popular as DeSantis right now. DeSantis would be way below him. It was Trump and nobody for 4 years. Now that DeSantis is on the rise, Trump can't handle it. If you like Trump and you want Trump to beat DeSantis, tell the guy to have some humility and self-awareness, and tell him to stop surrounding himself by people who sniff his ass, because it's not working for him. I can't stop Trump. DeSantis can't stop Trump. Only Trump can stop Trump, and he's stopping himself. For his sake, if you like him more than DeSantis, tell him to stop. Tell him to take a day to think about stuff, realize what he did wrong that DeSantis did right, because it's not his endorsement. Trump endorsed hundreds of people, and they all didn't get to DeSantis's level. DeSantis took himself to that level. It's like, for instance, I helped Candace Owens at the beginning of her career. When pretty much no one knew about Candace, I gave her a huge boost, 25, 30 million views, whatever, and she became very big, right? That would be like me sitting on live stream and being like, I made Candace Owens, she'd be nothing without me. You know, it's a douchey thing to do, but it's also not true. Did I give Candace Owens a boost from here to here early in her career that made a massive difference in her life? Absolutely. But do I think I made Candace Owens? No. Candace Owens made herself. I believe, as much as I have a signed book from her that even says exactly what I'm saying here. I'm not just saying it. I helped her early in her career before a lot of other people. With that being said, I think she's a star. I think she would have found a way anyway. I think without me, she would have got to where, maybe not at the same exact time, but I think she would have got there. And since then, Candace made herself more famous. A lot of people get 10, 20 million views and fade away into the sunset. So it would be like me saying, I made Candace Owens, she'd be nothing. It's not true. I helped her early on, just like Trump helped DeSantis. But Candace is a star. She's worked hard. She's climbed the ladder, and she continues to execute on big issues like vaccines, etc. That just keeps making her more and more popular, and she's good at talking. She's very smart, very well-spoken, very witty. You know, this is what an honest person is like. Yeah, I gave a little boost, but also you became your own person. Trump can't do that with this. It's the same thing. Yes, you helped him a little bit, but he made himself after, and there's hundreds of people that didn't make themselves. Trump is a dick. He's like he's not a nice person. It's like, somebody tell the guy, you know, stop selling vaccines. Stop getting so jealous. You know, there's a reason he got so popular. You keep shooting yourself in the foot. And the more he rises, it's like Trump's just going to keep sabotaging his own brand. And then all these Trump influencers are trying to like cover for Trump, and nobody likes it. People act like I'm so crazy. Go to the most pro-Trump page on Instagram, and all of the top comments are like DeSantis. It's like a PR nightmare. No one could have done this to Trump except for himself. So if you really like Trump, have an honest talk with the guy. Tell him like, dude, you're the man. We all loved you. You know what I'm saying? You did a lot, but then, you know, things went south. It's not your fault. We're not blaming you. But have like an ounce of self-awareness. And just real quick, this is why I can't get with even the election narrative as much as people. Yes, I agree with people on the election, but I don't think Trump is the innocent victim on the election. Because when it comes to mass mail-in ballots, they came because of all the lockdown measures. Trump quarterbacked the lockdown measures for too long. So if Trump could say the elections aren't as fair as they should be, and we need to make them more fair, but then he said, I take accountability because I shouldn't have like quarterbacked the lockdown measures for so long because that shot me in the foot. I could get behind Trump, but I can't get behind a guy that acts like he had no part in it. And then when he gets an email to DeSantis, he says, oh, I sent the FBI to Florida to save the election for you. Oh, so now you have the power to stop election fraud? When it comes to DeSantis winning, Trump has the power to stop the election fraud. When it came to 2016, he won. When it comes to 2020, all of a sudden he's this powerless, innocent victim who's just getting destroyed by the election. Bro, have some humility. Say it's not fair. The mass mail-in ballots are a joke, but I should have opened up sooner and not even given them an excuse. So nothing he says, like he's just not a good leader. It's not that I think elections are as fair as they should be. Trump's just not a good leader, and his rhetoric and his message and the way he's going about it is just stupid and not tactical, and a lot of people are over it. I've been over it for years now, but you know, that's just my 2 cents. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Let me know your comments in the let me know your opinion in the comment section. These are mine. A lot of people feel this way. A lot of people don't, but I stand by the fact that if Trump wants to win in 2024, he can. He's the only person that can stop him. And I think people are enabling his bad behavior and decisions by just acting like it's like so awesome to lie about the vaccine. It's so awesome to rush the FDA. And it's so awesome to hire pharmacy lobbyists. It's so awesome. It's so awesome to just get so jealous. Like none of this is cool. It's been not cool for years. And everybody that was mad, I'm going to really end now. Everybody that was mad at me 2 years ago for saying Trump was lying about the vaccine, you could have helped Trump avoid this situation right now, making a fool of himself with DeSantis. You could have stopped this. You know how? By telling the truth to Trump. I'm taking a risk right now. I know I'm never getting invited places anymore. I don't care. I don't need any more friends. I'm taking a risk like, hello, guys. You could say what I'm saying in a nicer way. You meet with Trump, tell him the truth. Everyone got so mad at me too. Oh, you hate Trump. No, I'm trying to help the guy. He's got spaghetti all over his face, and you're telling him he looks like a superstar and he looks like a clown. You get what I'm saying? It's like all these influencers could have stopped this moment and DeSantis rising above Trump if they would have just told Trump the truth. Stop, but nobody wants to tell him, so he keeps shooting himself in the foot. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I'm standing up for my country. I'm standing up for myself. And, I'm also trying to give a little tough love because it's like having no self-awareness and self-accountability and sucking up to Big Pharma, it's not going to work. No matter how many Trump influencers try to cover, it's not going to work. You're getting ratioed on your own post. I don't even get ratioed on my own post. Never. Why? Because I'm not lying. I'm not covering. It is what it is. It's not what I wanted, but it is what it is. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. I got to run. I'm about to eat dinner, but thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And if you disagree, that's fine.